What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, Week 16 fantasy football recap, your semifinals of your fantasy football playoffs. Hopefully, you guys are advancing. Hopefully, you don't need to wait on a Monday Night Miracle. We do have some games today. I think it's one game, maybe two games. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but there is games today. Hopefully, you don't need to rely on those. Hopefully, you've already clinched up that win and you're moving on to your fantasy football championships. That said, look, we got to go through all of these Sunday slate today, go through all of these games, recap them the way that we normally do. It's going to look a little bit different. Obviously, still, like I said, on vacation in the last couple of videos, I've been using a makeshift setup. Still going to be doing the same thing. Probably only one more video in the makeshift setup, which will be tomorrow for our episodes of Ring Chasers. And then after that, I should be home by the time that the next video comes out on Friday for the Q&A. So we should be back to the regular schedule programming right after that. Didn't want to leave you guys high and dry during the fantasy football playoffs. Obviously, big time of the year. Everybody's trying to get those wins. That's what we're here for today. So let's recap the Sunday slate. Lots of stuff to talk about. Lots of stuff to go over. And let's just hop right into this first game. The first game that I have for us here is going to be this one. We're going to switch this up just to make sure that it looks like that. We got the New York Giants and the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to scoot a little bit over just so you guys can still see me here. Look, the Giants lose this one 7-34. In this game, we actually got the first start from Michael Penix Jr. So Michael Penix actually gets the start. As you guys know, Kirk Cousins has been benched for the remainder of the year. It seems like he's probably going to be released in the offseason, end up going and signing with a different team. I've already heard rumblings of potentially the Cleveland Browns, a reunited offense there with Kevin Stefanski, who they spent time together in Minnesota together. So that could be a reunion here. Other than that, though, let's talk about Michael Penix. It was a pretty decent start. He did not throw a touchdown, but he still looked pretty decent overall. They scored 34 points without throwing a touchdown. Penix goes 18 for 27, 202 yards, no touchdown, but the interception. Bijan Robinson, he had a big day. If you're relying on your studs here in Week 16, Bijan goes 22 carries for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyler Algier also getting mixed in, 11 carries, but he didn't do much with them, only averaging about 2 yards a carry for 22 yards. And then a couple other guys got mixed in. Penix didn't really use his legs too much. He ran it 4 times, but it was only for a total of 3 yards, so didn't give you too much on the ground. He's not going to be the guy that gives you too much on the ground anyways, probably for the majority of his career. He wasn't that guy in college. He's not going to do that at the NFL level, and that being running the football, obviously. Now, for Atlanta, when you look at the receiving side of things, Darnell Mooney goes 5 for 82 on 6 targets. Drake London goes 5 for 59. Not a big day from London. We thought it could be a little bit bigger, but he did end up coming down with an injury in this game. It did end up being a hamstring injury is what it's being reported as. So hamstring, they're saying an average of 2 weeks he could miss. You may be without Drake London in your fantasy football championship week. The Falcons right now, they still, I think, are technically in the mix for fantasy or for real life playoff implications. So we'll see what happens. But they're saying that they lean towards a week 17 return, which I don't know. The comments are positive for him. Like we said, the average is about 2 weeks missed. Drake London did injure a hamstring, though. Ray McLeod goes 3 for 19. Chris Blair, 1 for 17. Everybody else, who gives a damn? The big one, Kyle Pitts, obviously, I feel like we talk about this every week, continues to be a disappointment, continues to be, I would say at this point, I mean, it's probably long overdue, but let's just classify it for what it is. He's a bust. Fantasy football-wise, dynasty-wise, real life, they drafted him over guys like Jamar Chase. Like, let's just be real, man. It's not great for Kyle Pitts. He probably doesn't even get an extension to stay here in the offseason. I think he's going to be due for one here fairly soon. Like I said, same draft class as Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is looking for the extension, obviously. Pitts probably won't get that one. Let's look at the New York Giants, though. The Giants, Drew Lock gets the start. He goes 22 for 39, 210 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, takes 3 sacks in this one as well. The QBR being 8 is obviously abysmal. Tyrone Tracy Jr., though, 7 for 26 on the ground. That's not a lot. But he did get into the end zone. He caught a receiving touchdown. He went 4 for 43 in the air with that receiving touchdown, so he did salvage a day there. Malik Neighbors goes 7 for 68. Not a huge day from him. Nothing you're going to be super excited about, but he didn't do he didn't shit the bed. He still gave you enough that you were probably okay with that from him. Wan'Dale Robinson goes 7 for 62. Darius Slayton 1 for 21, and everybody else, who cares? Really, the big takeaways in this game as we're looking into the next week, if London misses some time, I think Darnell Mooney is going to be a smash play next week with Michael Penix under center. Michael Penix can probably be picked up and streamed in your Superflex leagues if you need him. He's probably already been picked at this point, but who knows? In the playoffs, some managers that have been eliminated, they get very lazy, and then the Ravens, they get kind of good for that. Tracy, I think we can still keep playing him. Neighbors, we're still going to keep playing him, and then Drew Lock, I don't even know if he's the QB next year or next week. Every week it seems like they're switching and going to somebody else. So overall, that's kind of what we're looking at in this game. But let's move on over to the next game. The next game on the dock is going to be, and I apologize, this setup here is a little bit slower than my at-home setup. We're running off the laptop here, rather my desktop that we have at home. We're going to the Sunday games. Lions, Bears. This is the next matchup. So let's talk about this one. The Lions end up winning this game 34-17, I think was the overall finishing score. Look, Detroit kind of put it on them early, and outside of the first and fourth quarter, Chicago really did try and keep up their best that they could, but once you give up 13 points in the first quarter unanswered, you're pretty much playing from behind the entire rest of the way. It was tough for Chicago. Now, Jared Goff goes 23 for 32, 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Had a really good day for him, 137 overall quarterback rating. Caleb Williams goes 26 for 40, 334 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So we had a good game there. Apologize if it's all wigging out on the screen. But look, Jahmyr Gibbs, only running back in this backfield this week because David Montgomery dealing with the knee injury. He goes 23 for 109, a touchdown on the ground. Hit you with the TikTok celebration if you guys know what I'm talking about. Craig Reynolds goes 4 for 18, not really involved. We thought maybe he would be involved. They just gave the whole workload to Jahmyr Gibbs. It seemed like he was the only guy that they wanted to run out of that backfield. So moving forward next week, I think you can drop Craig Reynolds. I thought maybe he would step into the David Montgomery role. He didn't do that, so we're not too worried about him moving forward. Jameson Williams had a big day for you. He was actually probably the best Lions receiver on the day for you. He goes 5 for 143 and a touchdown, caught that long 82-yard touchdown in that one. It was a big deep ball from Jared Goff. Obviously, that's what Jameson Williams does. He has big playability. If he catches that, he has a big day. If he doesn't, it is what it is. Now, when you're looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown, he goes 6 for 70, 1 touchdown there. Jahmyr Gibbs goes 4 for 45 in the air. Sam Laporta also getting involved, 4 for 43 and a touchdown. Pretty much everybody on the Lions got involved that you needed. J-Mo, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Laporta, even Jared Goff had a good day. All Lions options smashed for you here in Week 16. And those guys have been smashing for you all year long. They've been carrying you probably to where you're at this point in the semifinals. I think they're going to keep continuing that way for the rest of the year. Now, Caleb Williams, like I said, 334, 2 touchdowns. On the ground, he went 6 for 34. DeAndre Swift goes 9 for 20. Not a great day from DeAndre Swift. This is a tough defense to run against anyways. Keenan Allen has the big day of all of the receivers there in Chicago. He goes 9 for 141 and a touchdown. Caught a 45-yard touchdown in the first half. Followed that up with the 13 targets there. Rome Odunze goes 4 for 77. DJ Moore 7 for 68. DeAndre Swift 3 for 33 on the air. And then Cole Kmet goes 2 for 9 and a touchdown. You would have loved to see that Kmet touchdown go to an Odunze or go to a DJ Moore or even a DeAndre Swift, because you're more likely to be playing one of those guys than you are a Cole Kmet. But hey, if you had Keenan Allen, he was the unsung hero here in Week 16. Not a guy that I was like super eager to throw into lineups. He has been getting some targets, but this matchup, it was decent on paper, but it's tough to trust any of these Chicago Bears receiving options. It seems like every week somebody's doing it different. 1 week it's Keenan, 1 week it's Rome, 1 week it's DJ Moore, and it just goes on. It's tough to pick. But if you played Keenan Allen, you love what you got out of him here in Week 16. So big game here. Like I said, Craig Reynolds probably can be dropped, though. We thought maybe he could fill in for David Montgomery. He ended up not being that guy, filling in as like kind of the bruiser type of running back. Let's move on to the next game here. We do have the next game on the sheet. It's going to be Browns-Bengals. So a pretty decent game here. We'll go look at this one. Dorian Thompson-Robinson under center there for the Cleveland Browns. And obviously same old under center there for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the Bengals, they win this one 24-6. The Browns, they move on to 3-12. The Bengals are now 7-8. Somehow their playoff hopes are still alive despite not having the greatest season. Joe Burrow ends up going 23 for 30, 252 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. Probably a pretty good day for you if you had Joe Burrow. Chase Brown goes 18 for 91. A little bit disappointing, I think, from Chase Brown because he didn't get into the end zone. It's probably been one of the only disappointing games in recent memory from Chase Brown, but overall he still did enough on the ground that you probably were okay with what you got. Still came away with a few receptions in this one as well. So you still got some points out of Chase Brown. Jamar Chase goes 6 for 97 and a touchdown on kind of a free play. T. Higgins goes 8 for 58 and a touchdown. You played him. You were happy with that. Yoshavash gets into the end zone. Like I said, Chase Brown 3 for 18. So he got those 3 receptions. Overall, all of these options for Cincinnati, you're pretty happy with. Like I said, Chase Brown, probably the one that you were the most disappointed with, but you're overall still okay with what he gave you. Higgins, Chase, Burrow, Brown, all doing what they needed to do for you here in Week 16. Now, looking at the Cleveland Browns, we were pretty worried about Dorian Thompson-Robinson being under center. I said it was going to really limit the efficiency and the upside of this offense going from Jameis Winston to DTR. I don't really know why they're doing this in Cleveland. Maybe they're just trying to lose games at this point. Jameis is much better for their offense than DTR is. He goes 20 for 34, 157, no touchdown, 2 interceptions. Just bring Jameis back in next week, please, for the love of God. Jerome Ford goes 11 for 92 and 1 touchdown. Like first play of the game, 66-yard run. They didn't really go back to him really the rest of the way. It was kind of annoying. Donta Foreman was getting a ton of carries on the goal line in that first drive. You would have loved to see those go to Jerome Ford, but he still finished his day, like I said, in the end zone, giving you a decent streaming option, especially with the 5 receptions for 39 yards that we got out of him. David Njoku, 8 for 66 on 10 targets. Again, no offensive touchdowns in the receiving game here. Just really limited the upside, man. Njoku, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, everybody here didn't get what we've been expecting out of them with Jameis Winston under center. So it's not going to be the same Cleveland Browns as long as DTR's under center, and hopefully he's not under center next week. If he is, we're probably going to be avoiding the majority of these guys. I think Jeudy can be completely avoided. I think Njoku, you can still play him just because he's a tight end. And Jerome Ford, we're still going to stream him next week. But outside of that, it's like Ford, Njoku, or bust for me. And that's kind of the options that we have here. So overall, not a bad game. Still got, the studs that we were relying on. They still gave us enough of what we wanted. Or I guess the big name players that we were relying on, they still gave us what we wanted. Hopefully you didn't play Jerry Jeudy. He's the only one that really, really disappointed. And I was warning you guys a little bit to be cautious about Jerry Jeudy because it didn't look good on paper. Let's go to this Titans and Colts game. The Titans and Colts ended up having a really, really big performance in this game from Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor went crazy. Ironically, after he goes and drops the football going into the end zone last week, could have maybe cost you, a win in the playoffs last week. But if he didn't cost you and you still had the trust to start him this week, he rewarded you for putting the trust in him because he went crazy. I think in our league, it's just a full PPR league. He went like 40 points in fantasy. So definitely a big day from Jonathan Taylor. The Colts win 38-30. 3-12 for the Tennessee Titans, 7-8 for the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson only throws the football 11 times in this game. It's not, obviously, if you have Anthony Richardson, that's not what you want to see. It helped them win the football game, and that's going to help them win football games. But if he's going to develop, he needs to pass the football a little bit more, man. I can't imagine that they're going to keep letting him only throw 11 times and then kind of view him as the franchise quarterback. It's a little bit tough that way. But when I'm looking at the rushing, this is what we liked about Jonathan Taylor, and this is what we liked about Anthony Richardson coming into the year. Jonathan Taylor got the majority of the workload in the backfield. He got 29 carries, man, for 218 yards, 3 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson rushing the football. That is the bread and butter for fantasy football for him, as we want to see him use those legs. He goes 9 for 70 and a touchdown as well. Very good day on the ground for Anthony Richardson. The receiving options, when you throw 11 passes, you only complete, I think it was 9 of them. This is going to be the issue here. Josh Downs, 3 for 61 and a touchdown, saved the day with that touchdown being 31 yards. Adonai Mitchell, 1 for 36. Pittman, 2 for 19. Mo Alley Cox, 1 for 15. Nobody's catching the football because you're not throwing the football. You're just saying Jonathan Taylor run the ball and Anthony Richardson run the ball. These are the 2 guys that are going to be, making our offense run. That's what happened. So overall, that's kind of what we're looking at for the Colts. But if you play Jonathan Taylor, congratulations. You're probably moving on to your championship game because he had the ability to win you the week. Mason Rudolph starts for the Tennessee Titans. He goes 23 for 34, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. They're going to be looking for a new QB in the offseason. Maybe a potential landing spot for a guy like Kirk Cousins if he gets cut because they're going to need a veteran presence there in Tennessee. Pollard goes 8 for 35. He ends up playing. Spears out carries him 10 for 27. He gets 2 touchdowns, so he stole those from Tony Pollard. I was very nervous about Tajay Spears going into the week if Pollard played because it felt like it was going to get messy. the touchdowns, those scoring points, they just went Tajay Spears' way in this game. I still, think the right call was to be a little bit cautious. Obviously, it's hard to predict the touchdowns. That's the unstickiest stat to project. But Tajay Spears still gets the 2 touchdowns. So if you did play him anyways, despite me saying I was a little bit nervous about Tony Pollard, you probably are happy that you played him, even though he only ran for 27 yards. Chikakonkwo had a pretty solid day from the tight end position, 9 for 81. If you streamed him, that was a good day overall. Calvin Ridley goes 3 for 78 and a touchdown. Tajay Spears 3 for 39 in the air. Tyler Boyd 2 for 20. And then Nick Westbrook-Akine, 2 catches, but he catches a touchdown. We might be back on a streak here for Nick Westbrook-Akine. But overall, the receiving options outside of Calvin Ridley and Chikakonkwo, you really weren't happy with. Downs, disappointment for the most part. I guess he still got the touchdown, so you're okay there. Pittman, disappointing. Adonai, you probably weren't looking to play him. And then Pollard, still disappointing. But Jonathan Taylor, absolute league-winning performance here in Week 16 against the Tennessee Titans. I see we got 2 comments in here. Gremlin says, in the Super Bowl because of Jonathan Taylor, let's go. Like I said, man, if you got in there and you played Jonathan Taylor, you're probably playing for the Super Bowl. So he says, how we doing? We doing pretty damn good. Hopefully you're doing good as well, Gremlin. So appreciate you being here. Let's move on to our next game. The next game on the docket is going to be – what is it? Gremlin also says, the Vikings with 13 wins for the 4th time in franchise history. We're making history. Damn straight. Kevin O'Connell, I think, undisputed coach of the year, in my opinion. If you take Sam Darnold and you go to 13 wins, you better just give him the damn award. Kevin O'Connell should be head coach of the year in the NFL. We're going to the Rams-Jets. Rams-Jets is the next game, so let's look at this box score. This game went by fast. Scott Hansen on Red Zone kept talking about how this game was zooming by. I think we were at the halftime of the Eagles-Commanders game, and this game was going into the 4th quarter. They were almost a whole quarter ahead despite starting at the same time. I think it's just because there really was there wasn't a lot of points to go around to start, and it was a lot of running the football to begin the game. So let's talk about the Rams. They ended up winning this one. They're 9-6 despite, not having Puka Nacua to start the year, despite having the offensive line banged up to start the year. Despite all of this stuff that has hit the Los Angeles Rams, they're still a 9-6 football team. So they win 19-9 against the New York Jets. The Jets are, doing what Jets do. Sorry, Jets fans. 14-19 from Matthew Stafford, 110 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. Not a big day from Stafford. This was a little bit of a tougher defense anyways, so ended up not being great overall. Kyren Williams goes 23 for 122 and a touchdown. A good day there. Blake Corum getting mixed in just a little bit. Puka Nacua goes 8 for 56. Not the big day we've been accustomed to. Cooper Kupp goes in and gives you another disappointing week after last week's donut. He goes 3 for 24. Not good over there. And then Tyler Higbee catches the only receiving touchdown. First game back into the lineup for him. Overall, it's just not a big day from any of these guys outside of Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams is probably the only guy that you were excited or I guess happy about his performance coming out of the week. Everybody else just, whatever. Puka Nacua enough, to make you feel comfortable still, but, you're not excited about the performance. Let's go to the Jets. I'm going to end this. This is distracting as hell. I'm going to go to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, 28 for 42. 256 yards, a touchdown. Breece Hall goes 14 for 52. Isaiah Davis getting mixed in still, but not a lot. Basically back to Breece Hall, full workload at this point. Devontae Adams goes 7 for 68. He catches a touchdown. Conklin goes 5 for 59. Dynasty folks, just keep in mind, Dynasty folks, I was doing some research earlier the other day. Somebody asked me about tight end prospects or just tight ends to target in fantasy going into the offseason. Conklin is a free agent, so just 2 things to look at. Potentially Conklin, a free agent in a different offense, could be better, or Jeremy Ruckert would be next man up, in my opinion, in that tight end room. So if you're looking for sneaky buys, Conklin may be a guy in the offseason that you buy just hoping he gets a better situation, or Ruckert if you think Conklin leaves, and then Ruckert steps up into the next play. So there you go. Overall, Garrett Wilson, 6 for 54. Breece Hall, 5 for 38. Everybody else does whatever. But like I said, not a lot of points to go around in this game. Gucci, my guy, says, yo, QQ, have a 2-point lead with Kendre Miller playing. Do I bench? And Ian says, no, play Kendre. 100%. If you have the lead, they have nobody else playing, and you can bench Kendre Miller and just secure the dub right now, I think you bench. There's a chance. It's very minimal, but at 2 points, he could go in there, fumble, get hurt, lose the 2 points, you lose the game, and that's that. He doesn't come back in and play. So with a 2-point lead, Kendre Miller, he gets benched in my book. You just secure the dub, move on, go to the next round. Kind of have a similar situation in my league. I can bench Christian Watson tonight. I have a 10-point lead, so it's a little bit different. I have a 10-point lead. I could bench him and just secure the win right now. But 10 points, even if he fumbled and got hurt on the first play of the game, still not going to lose me. I'm still going to play Christian Watson, just run up the score. But in that situation, I would probably be benching Kendre. So there you go. Let's move on to the next game here. We're going to go to – where are we at? Probably – we'll figure it out. Like I said, just bear with me, man. This laptop setup is not built to run, my stream and camera and all at once. So it's a little bit slow when I'm sharing my screen. We're gonna make it work. Eagles Commanders is the next game. What do we got? Gucci says, appreciate it, big dog. I was thinking the same thing. So yeah. I mean, congratulations, man. Just lock up that W while you have it. Philadelphia Eagles win 33-30, or the Philadelphia Eagles lose 33-36. This game had fantasy football implications, and there is some implications here that could potentially affect our Week 17 championship games. The big one, obviously, is going to be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts gets knocked out of this game with a concussion. 60% of the players miss 1 week and return the following. There's no dip. Excuse me, I just drank that Sprite. Now it's, you know how Sprite is. There is no dip in production when they come back. So that's the thing. We need Jalen Hurts to clear concussion protocol if he wants to play in this next upcoming game. We probably need Jalen Hurts to clear concussion protocol if you're an Eagles fan, because you want to keep, playing for one of those top seeds. We really need this, man. We really need this Jalen Hurts. It seemed like he wanted to play, but he did not give you what you needed this week. So hopefully you were able to overcome that. I was able to overcome that with Jalen Hurts in the starting lineup. I'm still moving on to the championship game in one of my dynasty leagues with Jalen Hurts as a starter, despite him only scoring 4 points in that league for me. Kenny Pickett played the rest of the way. But we always talk about the winner of the game first. Jayden Daniels goes 24 for 39, 258, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. This is one of the best performances. It is the best performance at the quarterback position all week. 9 carries for 81 yards as well. Went absolutely nuts. Brian Robinson giving you only 2.4 yards per carry, 10 carries for 24 yards, no touchdown there. Olamide Zaccheaus, 5 for 70 and 2 touchdowns. Terry McLaurin goes 5 for 60 and a touchdown. We said be cautious with Terry McLaurin because this Eagles defense is good. But I'll tell you what, when Jalen Hurts gets knocked out of that game early on, it's a different ball game now. We're playing a different ball game. He still got into the end zone, so he did have a decent day. 5 for 60, though. If he only finished with that and no touchdown, you wouldn't have been happy about playing Terry McLaurin. So the process still feels good. Obviously, the outcome for Terry McLaurin as well. So hopefully you're all right. I see we got Gucci here. He says that dirty Sprite got you leaning. That shit got me all them bubbles. What do we got? For the Eagles, like I said, Kenny Pickett played the majority of the way, 14 for 24, 143, a touchdown and an interception. I'll tell you this, if you have Jalen Hurts on your fantasy football team and you're going into the championship game, be very, very adamant about going to pick up secure options at the quarterback position because there is a chance Jalen Hurts does not play this week. Michael Penix might be on waivers. Kenny Pickett will definitely be on waivers. You can go grab him. There are some other guys on waivers that you can go target. I would be going to look at those options and make sure you have a backup option for Jalen Hurts this week. If I had to put my money on it, and I had to make a bet, I would say Jalen Hurts plays this upcoming week. But I would only put my confidence in that at about 60%. So just take that for what it's worth. Saquon Barkley has himself a big day in this one as well. 29 for 150 and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown goes 8 for 97 and a touchdown. Devontae Smith goes 6 for 51. Seemed like A.J. Brown was getting targeted more by Kenny Pickett than he was for Jalen Hurts. So if you have A.J. Brown, you might be actually kind of happy that Kenny Pickett was in there giving him the football. I don't know. It just felt overall like he was getting looked at a little bit more. So I think there's not a bunch of big takeaways in here other than, the studs will keep studding for you. And we got to be very, very nervous if you have Jalen Hurts, but we also got to be adamant on picking up those backup quarterback options this week. Andre says, up 28 in a full PPR. Guy has Jacobs left. I'm a little bit nervous. 28's a lot. I understand why you would still be nervous. He's been going nuts, but I think you could still. I think you still got that one, Andre. Cam says, "What's good, Andrew? Hope Week 16 was good to you, dog. I'm moving into the semifinals in Week 17. Yeah, I know Week 18 championship is doo-doo, but try telling that to the commissioner of my league. You better get his ass in here because I'll tell him that's the worst week to do a championship. But glad you're moving on." He says, "Incoming questions, LOL." Well, bring them on, man. Bring them on. We'll go through them as they come in. But that is that game for you. We'll move on to the next game. This game is going to be, God, if I know. At this point, we just gotta wait for the the website to load, man. I apologize, man. Like I said, I usually like these to run smooth and silky and nice for you guys. It is this makeshift setup. It is what it is. Hopefully, it's still good for you. We're going to the Cardinals-Panthers. Cardinals-Panthers is the next game. 30-36, the Panthers win. They beat the Arizona Cardinals. I didn't really see that one coming. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise either, though. Let's just talk about the Panthers, man. Let's talk about the Panthers. And before we get into them, Johnny does have something on the Eagles, so we will talk that real quick. He says Eagles should sit Hurts as they really don't have anything to play for. They pretty much locked up the second in NFC. Would need help to get first. I kind of agree for the most part, but anything is possible in the NFL. We've seen things like this happen all the time. I think you still go to play to win every single week from here on out, especially if you have a chance at the 1 seed. Who knows, Johnny? Lions could drop one that they don't expect to drop, and all of a sudden we're talking about a different thing. So, yeah, I agree, theory-wise, process-wise, but also at the same time, I think you just try and win every game you can. We got Bryce Young and the Panthers. Bryce 17 for 26, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard has himself a big day here. You love to see this if you had Chuba Hubbard on your team. 25 for 152, 2 touchdowns. Bryce Young goes 5 for 68 and a rushing touchdown as well. Big day from Bryce Young compared to what he's done throughout the year. Adam Thielen goes 5 for 43 and a touchdown. David Moore, 2 for 39 and a touchdown. Everybody else, whatever. Chuba got 4 receptions for 13 yards, so that's good. Jalen Coker, more like Jalen Choker. He just choked in the fantasy football playoffs for you if you went to stream him. I know he was a popular streaming option for some people. Did not give you anything you wanted. 2 for 8, not good. Arizona, Kyler Murray, talk about choking. 20 for 32, 202 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Not a big day from Kyler Murray. I'm starting to really lose my faith in Kyler Murray, man. It sucks, man, because I'm a Kyler fan. You guys know, but this hasn't been a good year for Kyler. James Conner goes 15 for 117 and a touchdown. Let's talk about it, though, because James Conner got injured in this game. They did classify it. Video is suggesting it's PCL sprain, maybe a bone bruise. They said it doesn't look severe. At least this is the information that I'm getting from Deepak Chona. He is Sports MD Analysis on X. I like to get some of my information from him injury-wise. So this is coming from him, just so you know. Says it doesn't look severe. He leans towards a short-term absence, if any. So here's the question. We only got one more week that really matters in fantasy football for us. Unless you're playing a Week 18 championship, which, again, Cam, we probably should not be playing Week 18 championships. But, hey, I digress. James Conner probably at risk of missing this next week. Sounds like Michael Carter would be the next guy up. Trey Benson obviously would ideally be the next guy up, but he missed this last week with an injury. You want James Conner in this next game. If James Conner plays, I'm putting full confidence in him in my lineup because the matchup is incredible for him. But we got him at risk, I think, this week. 4 for 49 from James Conner in the air. Michael Wilson goes 2 for 44. Marvin Harrison 4 for 39. Michael Carter 5 for 30 in the air. That's going to be good for him. If he does end up getting the starting job, he can get some checkdowns there. Trey McBride goes 3 for 20. One of the worst performances from Trey McBride all year happened to be in your semifinals. Not great. Cam says, picking Jamar Chase and JSN for my wide receiver 1 and 2, need 2 flex. Thielen, Flowers, Downs, B-Rob, and Pooper Cup. Yeah, that's a good name for him at this point. I think I would just play right now Thielen and Flowers. Those would be my 2 plays for the 2 flex. That's what I would be the most confident in right now, Cam. Johnny says, if Lions drop 1 or 2, then the Vikes are in first, which, please, God. Please. Cam, with the laughing emoji, we're talking about Week 18 championships. It's kind of ass, but let's move on to – I'm sorry, Cam. I know it ain't against you, man. It's just against, the Week 18 championships. Let's move on to the next game. Still got a couple more that we got to get through before we get to the end here. I'm trying to do this before, the laptop explodes. Just it sounds, I'm sure you guys can hear it in the mic. There's like a little bit of a hiss. That's the laptop just fucking humming, man. Hopefully it's not distracting. But let's go to Vikings Seahawks. We had to do it to them. 27-24, the Vikings win this game. Sam Darnold still making a case for MVP, but he's not going to win the award. Nobody's giving this goddamn MVP award to Sam Darnold. It's just they will not let it happen. I promise you that. Sounds like Ian says there's no hiss, so that's good, I guess, to hear because I can hear it through my headphones, which is kind of crazy. Why did I say Matthew Stafford? Minnesota Vikings win this one 27-24. Sam Darnold goes 22 for 35, 246 and 3 touchdowns. Throws a game-winning touchdown to Justin Jefferson down the sideline. Tariq Woolen ended up getting burned. There was a meme. Now, I got a friend who's a Seahawks fan. There was a meme before the week. I saw it on Twitter, I guess X, and Tariq Woolen was at the Mariah Carey concert in Fortnite. He was like, put it on his Snapchat or something. He was at the Mariah Carey concert in Fortnite. People were saying, this man is at the Mariah Carey concert, and we got 2 demons coming to town, and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. He's got to lock the fuck in. And apparently he didn't. He got torched for the last one, game-winning touchdown. Aaron Jones goes 18 for 67. Sam Darnold ran it 5 times for 11 yards. Justin Jefferson goes 10 for 144 and 2 touchdowns. Hello. You wanted this out of Justin Jefferson. Those big games, they still can come, even with the offense being as crowded as it is with Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and Aaron Jones. Justin Jefferson's still him, man. Addison goes 5 for 35 and he gets a touchdown as well. So if you played him, you're still happy because you got the touchdown. Hawkinson, not a big day, 2 for 27. Aaron Jones, 3 for 26. I would say those 2 guys, Aaron Jones and TJ Hawkinson, they're the least consistent of the group, and they're the most kind of boom-bust options in this offense. Aaron Jones, he still gets enough work on the ground that you're okay. He just isn't really getting into the end zone over the last couple of weeks. Seattle, Geno Smith. Johnny says no hiss, just laggy vid. Apologize, man. I apologize. But Geno Smith, 31 for 43, 314, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kenneth Walker goes 8 for 31. Really nobody else got mixed in, which is crazy because Zach Charbonnet has been playing so well. There was rumors of him potentially being a captain / starter coming into the game. Didn't matter. JSN goes 8 for 95 and a touchdown. DK goes 3 for 57 and a touchdown. And then everybody else not really too involved for the most part. AJ Barner catches a touchdown. You probably didn't play him as well. There it is. But other than that, it is what it is. I think DK, he's been quite frustrating over the last couple of weeks. It's good to see him get into the end zone, but he's been pretty frustrating. I think Zach Charbonnet is, as long as Kenneth Walker is in the lineup, he's pretty much just a handcuff option as we've continued to see. So good game here. Look, Vikings keep winning. This is what I like to see, man. Cam says, agreed on Thielen and Flowers are my best options, my dude. Dude, let me have it with the Week 18 comments. Fuck that noise. I love it. Ian says, it's just that laptop webcam, baby. It is what it is, man. Like I said, we had to make do. In all fairness, shout out my brother. This is my brother's laptop. He's letting me use it while I'm here. I put this thing together. Look, I'm finessing. Don't tell Amazon. But I ordered the USB mic to the house. I ordered some other stuff to the house. I'm going to return it here at the end of the week. Didn't do the job. I don't like it, whatever. I'm going to return it to Amazon. No questions asked. I had a 30-day return window. We got to get creative to make the content happen while I'm out of town. trying my best to make it as high quality as I possibly can without like blowing a budget on just literally like a 1 week setup. But you know what it is. We're going to move on to the next game. Like I said, don't tell Amazon I'm trying to finesse them right now. But if you don't finesse in this life, you're going to get finessed. So you'd rather be the finesser than the finessee. And that's just the way it is. I do like to be morally good in life. But at the same time, look, if you give me a 30-day return window, I'm going to return that bitch after a week of using it and just say it was defective. I didn't like the quality, whatever it was. It is what it is, man. Give me my money back. It's like renting. It's like renting, equipment right now. Let's go to the Patriots and the Bills game. We got 4 more games actually to get through. Patriots, Bills. The Bills win 24-21. This game looked crazy for a second because it looked like the Bills might drop this one. They ended up winning though. Josh Allen, he did get his hand hurt in this one. He said he kind of got hit on the elbow or got hit on the arm, and he kind of lost feeling in his hand. Seemed like he was okay, though. He ended up finishing the game. He said after the game that it wasn't a big deal, so I'm not worried about it long term. Josh goes 16 for 29, 154 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Not a big day from him and not the day that we wanted. Honestly, if you had Josh Allen, you're probably really disappointed based on the last couple of weeks that he's given you. James Cook had a good day, though. He goes 11 for 100 on the ground with a rushing touchdown. And then in the air, he goes 3 for 26 and a receiving touchdown. Everybody else on Buffalo really didn't do too much. Keon Coleman, 1 for 17. Dalton Kincaid, 4 for 15. Amari Cooper, 1 for 10. Khalil Shakir, 2 for 22. Everybody receiving-wise did nothing for Buffalo. It was just James Cook, man. It was the James Cook show this week. And there's really not too much more to say about that. Drake London goes 22 for Drake May, not Drake London. Drake May goes 22 for 36, 261, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Ramondre Stevenson goes 12 for 60 and a rushing touchdown. Antonio Gibson got mixed in as well, 10 for 28. When you look at the receiving wise, Kayshon Boutte led the way, 5 for 95 and a touchdown. Hunter Henry goes 4 for 39 and a touchdown. If you keep streaming Hunter Henry, you keep getting good days, I guess, out of him because he keeps getting to the end zone. Demario Douglas goes 4 for 33. He got into the end zone that ended up getting called back, and then that was where the Ramondre Stevenson touchdown. I think that was where the Ramondre Stevenson touchdown happened. Maybe it was where the Hunter Henry one happened. I can't remember, but he got into the end zone, didn't count. Overall, there's not much to talk about from the Patriots. We're playing too many guys from the Patriots in the first place. Cam says, tight end is Kraft right now. Waiver options are Kincaid, Strange, Ertz, Henry, Freiermuth, Schultz, Okonkwo, leaning Okonkwo for some crazy reason. I don't know, man. I kind of want to go with Okonkwo. I kind of want to go with Ertz. Ertz kind of feels like the safest play here. He's kind of the guy that I want to go with. Johnny says, sounds a little shisty. That's like giving a like on your vid just to unlike it when the stream is over. That's so crazy. I mean, it is what we're doing, to be honest, Johnny. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Ian says, I think Ertz is close to some contract incentives. So, yeah, if that's true, that's definitely another reason to maybe think about that one. Is there a way to look that up? You can probably look that up on Spotrac, SPOTRAC.com. It'll likely tell you the incentives that he's going for. So Spotrac would be the way to look that one up. He says, I have Daniels as my QB, makes me want Ertz too. I think Ertz might be the play, man. I would probably go Ertz, Cam. But let's go to this next game. Despite Johnny saying that, we're running a shisty little I don't even know, a gig over here. We're just running a shisty little gig over here. We're going to go to the Jaguars Raiders. Boring game. Actually, in all fairness, I had the opportunity to go to this game, and I turned it down. I didn't want to watch Mac Jones, and I didn't want to watch Aiden O'Connell, and I could have went to this game. I'm here in Las Vegas. They're played in Las Vegas. I could have went. I turned it down. I'd rather watch Red Zone than go see Aiden O'Connell, man. It is what it is. Maybe that's crazy in itself. The Raiders win, though. Aiden O'Connell goes 24 for 38, 257. Amir Abdullah goes 7 for 38. Alexander Madison, 12 for 27. They both get into the end zone. Brock Bowers goes 11 for 99. Big day from Brock, but that's not a surprise to anybody. Jacoby Myers, very quiet, 2 for 41. This was a perfect matchup for him on paper. He should have done more. He didn't. When you look at Jacksonville, Mac Jones goes 25 for 39, 247, a touchdown. Bigsby goes 12 for 50 and a touchdown. ETN goes 9 for 22. They keep trading, man. 1 week it's ETN, 1 week it's Bigsby. It's just back and forth over and over again. So it's tough to trust either of these guys. I'm probably not playing any of them next week in our championship games. Brian Thomas Jr. goes 9 for 132 and a touchdown. He keeps going, man. Every week he's giving you a big game. He did it again this week. Brenton Strange disappointed some people. He was a popular streaming option because of all of the receptions he got last week. 2 for 22 this week. Not good overall. And then everybody else really fairly unimportant for the most part for your fantasy teams. Johnny says, to be fair, I've done the same to Best Buy. So that's where we're at, man. Let's move on to the next game. We have the Niners Dolphins, I think, is the next one. And then we have the Sunday night game, which should be the last two. And let's go look at that one, assuming, it's going to load up for us. There you go. Come on now. Niners Dolphins. Dolphins win this game 29-17. HN has a pretty decent day for us for the Dolphins, so we'll talk about that one. It's been a tough year, man, for the 49ers. Not great for them. But Tua goes 22 for 34, 215 yards and a touchdown. HN goes 17 for 120 and a touchdown there. Most are getting mixed in, but not a lot. He's been pretty disappointing this year, too. I think a lot of people kind of felt like they'd still do a two-back committee. They really haven't this year. Mostert also kind of just looks old and like he's not really maybe the same guy. HN goes 6 for 70 in the air. There was no Jalen Waddle in this matchup. Tyreek Hill disappointed the shit out of you with no Jalen Waddle. He goes 3 for 29. He caught a touchdown, so that saved it, but it's still disappointing nonetheless. Tyreek or Jonnu Smith goes 6 for 62. He should have had a bigger day as well, but it was really the Devon HN show. It was just kind of crazy. And Ian said, did anybody clinch anything off of the HN 50-yarder? It was towards the end of the game. He just broke a long runoff up the sideline, and that could have clinched you a game. And that was unfortunate if you were playing against him. It was like a dagger at the very last minute. Brock Purdy goes 26 for 40, 313, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Debo was being used on the ground, 5 for 25. Patrick Taylor goes 8 for 24. I did say before the game. Now, again, I make bad calls at times. I make good calls at times. This is one of the good calls of the weekend. I said Patrick Taylor, he worried me because I know historically when you go to the 49ers running back, they get the full workload. It's kind of just give them the ball. We're at the point now where Patrick Taylor is like practice squad second string at the beginning of the year, and then he got moved up to practice squad first string, and then he's fourth string of the running back room and third string and second string. He's worked his way up. It wasn't good for Patrick Taylor. The thing is, he's not really an NFL quality level running back at this point. There's a reason why he was on a practice squad and not on an active roster to start the year. Also, the game script got out of hand for him as well. That's another thing at play, but you can't trust Patrick Taylor. He was a trap. I think a lot of people got trapped by him on the waiver wire this week. We talked about him as a pickup. I will say we did talk about him as a pickup. You should have picked him up, but playing him is a different story. I think 8 for 24, obviously that was a trap. George Kittle goes 8 for 106. Debo goes 7 for 96 and a touchdown. Too little, too late for Debo Samuel. I mean, all year long, he hasn't done jack shit for your roster and goes out there 96 and a touchdown. Best day probably he's had in I don't have it in front of me, but it's probably the best day he's had in 10, 12 weeks. And it didn't matter because if you had Debo Samuel, you probably got eliminated from the playoffs already. Juwan Jennings goes 4 for 51. Ricky Pearsall 4 for 37. He was getting penalty after penalty after penalty at one point in this game. Overall, the Niners didn't do too much, but Kittle, Debo still had decent days. Patrick Taylor was a trap, and it is what it is. So let's move on to Sunday Night Football. Once we get to that game, we'll talk about that one. We'll talk about the Monday night games. Cam says, I have Packers and Chargers defensive special teams, held Green Bay for Week 16 start and held Chargers for Week 17 start. Need advice for Week 18 if I make it Green Bay versus Bears or Chargers versus Raiders Week 18, both at home. I would take I'd take the Chargers versus the Raiders. Personally. Ian says, let me look at schedule. I'll give you my 2 cents as well. So, yeah, I'd probably go Chargers versus Raiders. Let's go look at the Sunday night game. This is the last game. I was waiting on this one. I needed a decent day from Cooper Rush and Jake Ferguson. I needed them to outscore Bucky Irving. That happened for me, so I ended up securing something there. But the Cowboys, they win. They kind of shocked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There was a weird play at the end little bit of a Baker scramble to Rachaad White to a fumble to a pickup to a score, ended up winning them the game. That's probably closing the door on Tampa Bay for the most part. It's making the playoff chances a lot slimmer. Dallas, they win this one. Like I said, though, Cooper Rush goes 26 for 35. He's been playing some decent football, 292, a touchdown. He didn't get as many touchdowns in this one, but it was still fine. Dowdle goes 13 for 23, so a big L performance from Dowdle for us in this week's game. Turpin was getting involved as well. Ezekiel Elliott stole a touchdown that should have went to CeeDee Lamb. Lamb goes 7 for 105. Ended up getting banged up again in this one. If you guys remember, he's been dealing with the shoulder injury. It was like an AC joint sprain. He re-aggravated that one. Doesn't seem like they got eliminated before the game even started from playoffs. I don't even imagine that C will be able to play next week. I don't think they'll even play him next week. I'm nervous about him. If you have him on a championship team, I would almost expect to be without CeeDee Lamb this upcoming week. So that'll make guys like Brandon Cooks a little bit more interesting. Maybe guys like Jalen Tolbert a little bit more interesting as a streaming option. Jake Ferguson definitely more interesting at the tight end position. But that's where we're at. Looking at Tampa Bay, Baker goes 31 for 43, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Bucky goes 16 for 68 and a touchdown. Still, Rachaad White was being used in the receiving game, 7 for 50. Mike Evans goes 5 for 69. Jalen McMillan, 5 for 57. Another touchdown for Jalen McMillan. He's been on a hot streak over the last couple of weeks. I think he has 4 touchdowns now in his last 4 games, or maybe 4 in his last 3 games, something like that for Jalen McMillan. He's a decent dynasty asset that I'm looking at because Chris Godwin is an unrestricted free agent this offseason. Jalen McMillan picking it up in the back half of the year. I think they might just rock with Jalen McMillan and not re-sign Chris Godwin. So I'd be looking at him in dynasty leagues. Bucky's still 3 for 24 in the air. Everybody else doesn't matter. You weren't playing Trey Palmer. You weren't playing Sterling Shepard or any of these other guys. And if you did, you probably shouldn't have been. But that's where we're at, man. So that is the Sunday night football game. Those are some of the takeaways from that. Let's talk Monday night football, because if you need a miracle tonight, the game at hand is the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. We got this game. There are some fantasy football options. I think some people are very interested in Kendre Miller this week. I know I got a league where somebody's waiting on Kendre Miller. They need like 20 points out of Kendre, which feels like a tall task. You got the Green Bay Packers with potentially Jayden Reed, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, all of these guys that could potentially be on the line for you. Hopefully you need a miracle. Hopefully you don't need the miracle to win. Hopefully you've already won. If you need the miracle, hopefully it comes true. But let me know in the comment section, what Monday miracle do you need to happen for you in your fantasy football leagues this week? I am going to do a quick promo for League FFB on Underdog. If you use that code, you want something to root for tonight, they will give you a free pick'em entry over on Underdog for the Monday night football game. I think it's Jordan Love this week. So if Jordan Love goes for 1 yard, you win that part of your pick'em entry. Like I said, use code League FFB when you sign up. You can see it there at the bottom of the screen. They will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash and that free pick'em play. So use this code when you sign up. Everything else considered, folks, that is it. Again, I kind of am sorry that, it's a little bit laggy with the laptop setup, a little bit laggy with what we got going on, but still want to give you the information. That's the main goal really here. Ian says, just sit Cooper DeJean on Neighbors, and it's high school football for the Giants right now. Johnny says, I need Christian Watson to get 25 points. Shit. And then that's where we're at. So that's it for you guys today. Hit the like button. If you're Johnny, you want to be shiesty, I guess you can unlike it at the end of the stream. And then other than that, subscribe, do all that good YouTube stuff. I'll see you guys tomorrow for week 17, the last episode of Ring Chasers here for the fantasy football playoffs. We will not be doing a week 18 one. Sorry, Cam. You can still be in the Discord and hit me with any questions you got in week 18. I'm happy to help you. But there will be no Ring Chasers week 18. So last episode tomorrow. And that'll be the last of the laptop setup, so we can get away with this shit and go back to the high-end stuff, because I'm kind of sick of the lagginess, too. It's a pain in the ass on my end as well. Cam says, appreciate you, Andrew. I appreciate you guys for being here, hanging out. And then Ian says, good luck, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Yes, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you guys as well. Stay safe. Make sure that you spend some time with your family. Enjoy it. Even if your fantasy football teams aren't doing well, don't let yourself become the Grinch because your fantasy football teams may not do well. But that being said, folks, nothing else for you today. I'll see you on our next one, though. Till then.